This time on Whatever We Want, we talk about
Captain America Civil War. Spoilers, major, huge, big spoilers ahead. There are time codes down in the description if you want to jump around. We talk everything from behind the scenes of the cast interacting, the Russo brothers and their storytelling techniques and the mastery of it, how things were almost different with the new characters like Black Widow and Spider-Man, the size of their roles, the original Sony Marvel deal with Spider-Man, all that and more. Enjoy! Pre-Banter. Daniel, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing
my
pretty good, my guy. Feeling pretty festive.
We're trying to be festive because this is coming out like December. So I've got a little, if for those on YouTube, I've got a little, what's it called? Christmas sweater on. I guess for the audio people, I'm telling you this. And then Daniel's got a red nose.
I got a red nose. It was originally a clown nose because of my, it was a joke with my college
because
friends.
Daniel's a clown. All right, moving on. I'm just kidding.
But not gonna lie, like I have to use more force when breathing through my nose with this, even though it's just foam. So
imagine
I'm like,
you're gonna like breathe and then just gonna fall off.
Well, not like No, I'm good. It's just, I feel like I'm gonna be
stuffy this
breathing
episode.
through my mouth, so I might just
a mouth breather.
Should I keep it on for the whole thing, or maybe I should like put it on like my eye or something?
What? It's up to you, dude. It's just we're trying to get a festive spirit. It's a little weird because we're recording these really out of order. We're trying to get ahead, so we're recording this actually like mid-November. So I don't know. I'm getting in like the mood, the festive mood. It's helping me a bit, you know. But anyways, enough about that. But because we're like backlogging these, we might be a little late on the news. Like we're recording this actually like right after all that Disney Plus stuff was announced, and like those teasers and stuff. So that was really exciting. I'm sure that's been talked to death already since by the time this goes out. Anyways, enough of that. Ready to get into the beef of this episode. Ready for the intro?
Yeah, hit me with it.
You might want us to talk about this or that, but we don't care. We're going to talk about whatever we want. Welcome back to Wherever on the podcast where we, Jake and Daniel, who definitely hinge with gentlemen, talk about movies, TV shows, giving behind the scenes insights, filmmaking, techniques, all that jazz, and more. We're talking about Civil War this week, Daniel. Captain America.
Yeah, we are.
Civil War. The start of Phase 3. You ready to jump into things?
Yes.
So,
I have notes this time.
Wait. Oh, wait, really? But
yeah, I took notes.
It just feels, can I just say before we get into it, it feels so good getting back into this. We did this for Phase 1 and 2 so long ago, and then like a bunch of shows came out, and we were like, we are just going to focus on those shows. And I know Hawkeye is coming out, and we actually did an episode on that last week when this comes out, but like a lot of things are going on, so we don't have a chance to record. So it just feels good to be like getting back into this. That being said, let me hit you with the ARoSW sound clip.
Did you ever see Return of the Jedi?
Because it's a review of Sick Works. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Ross from Friends. Yeah. Good old times. I have to find the video for that now because I just did the audio. We didn't do a video podcast the last time we did that.
Oh, that's crazy. That's right. Yeah.
Wow. I actually didn't. Dang it. I just made myself have to do more work. Great. Anyways, all right. What do you think overall?
I think it was it was a good movie, obviously. I mean, it was amazing. There's a lot of new characters that came in this movie. We saw Black Panther for the first time. We saw Spider-Man for the first time in the MCU.
Yeah. It's pretty much Avengers 2.5.
Yeah. I feel like it did an amazing job. This is also, like, going back and rewatching it, it was one of the more serious films. Like, there was still, like, the comedic punches every now and then, but, like...
I loved it. I feel like it still held up.
It was a lot more serious, and I love that. No, I love that it was more serious. Like, that added to it a lot. And
speaking of like going back, like when the logo came up, it was like the old Marvel logo still, and I was just like,
You're like, oh dang, yeah, it's crazy to think about just like how the age of some of these films now, because like we grew up with them.
2016, this one was, which is now like what, 5 years ago? Dang, what was I doing 5 years ago? Not this.
We were in high school.
I think we just like, oh yeah, we were. Oh my gosh. So I watched the director's commentary with Joe Russo, Anthony Russo, Chris Marcus, and Steve McFeely. I believe they were the writers. So I have some insights as we go along. I personally just love this movie.
I'm just going to say it first. I'm sorry, but like
the nose is coming off.
It's coming off. I can't. To make up
Take
for
it off. Take it off.
I have a joke about my shirt, if I can say it quick. Okay. It's a DeLorean, right? It's a DeLorean breakdown. But then I was thinking, right, because, you know, like we talk about Star Wars and stuff all the time. And what if there was a Mandalorian?
Oh.
Get it? Like a Mandalorian? But like, I looked it up and there's nothing there.
Wait, really?
I
You should,
was
like,
so sad.
make
Yeah, I
merch of
googled
that.
That's what I'm saying.
Man,
Like, I should actually make that.
DeLorean.
You know,
Do it.
Like imagine that. Like
Well, now you're
Grogu's,
announcing
like,
it. You got to do it within 2 weeks before this goes out, so that people won't steal that
yeah,
idea.
I can do that. It's fine. But like imagine it. Like Grogu's
All right.
like in the what is the thing called? The
Wait, Grogu's the power
reactor?
source? You're draining Grogu?
Yeah,
This has
we're
got
draining
dark.
Grogu here.
Oh my gosh.
Well, he eats all like the recyclable.
That's what
whatever
Luke said.
stuff.
Draining, not training, when he took Grogu.
And then like because the DeLorean's already like silver and black, so like it matches like the color scheme already. You just got to like make the windshield
gosh.
like, you know what I mean?
All
Like
right.
have it be like the T.
Let's back to the tank. That we have a lot to talk about, and I feel like we could go on for hours about the Mandalorian. All right. Yeah, I was just saying that I really like this movie. I like had it downloaded on my iPad and just watched it like over and over and over, like on planes whenever I didn't like there wasn't like in-flight entertainment or anything. I also feel a little bit of pressure in this episode, like this podcast episode, because we announced this a while ago, but it was huge news. But like the Russo brothers like production company, Agbo Films, their TikTok followed our TikTok, so like gotta be pumping out some good TikToks for this episode.
Yeah.
They could see it, the creators. This actually was a big influence on my decision to get into movies. This film, I feel like
Really?
this was around the time that once I started like looking at it and looking back at like interviews, this like it captivated me.
Oh god.
That cat pun. No, but in all seriousness, it did like influence my decision. but I just want to say, bringing back the cat puns. I've got a few sprinkled in.
This is the last Cap, so you got to get him in, okay?
I know. Well, he's in other movies, so I can just like, but it's not as.
Well,
rich.
yeah, but like it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so we start out 1991. I really like the big title sequences. We actually talked about it on What If before.
Yes.
And
Cleveland.
it's because that's where the Blues Brothers are from. But like that actually, it sets up a great thing, like a great moment later in the film when we go to Queens, because they actually shot that part when Natasha's talking to Tony and is like, "Where's your idea? Mine's in the lobby." And he goes, and they actually shot him saying, "Oh, mine's in Queens," but they decided to like cut it and just show Queens on screen, and like was this amazing moment for anyone that like has any idea of Spider-Man, and like with the music and everything. So like, and just because they established that that's how they're doing the title sequences.
Yeah.
That like was so powerful and like
made it made such more of a difference there, much more impact. Like literally, like
I remember being in the
Impact.
theater and seeing that. I was like, yeah. Oh, also we get so in the intro we get like him in 1991 and the sequence of the book like mind controlling him, and the writer said that the sequence of words they chose was just words that sounded kind of cool in Russian. That was their big meaning behind all that, because a lot of people ask like, what's the meaning behind those words that he says, like freight car, homecoming, like yeah. Just sounded cool in Russian, which to be fair. I mean,
hey, it works, you know. I mean, if I was a Russian guy and I wanted to brainwash somebody, you know, I'd want to pick the
say
coolest
like
words.
poodle or something.
Exactly.
Well, unless poodle sounds cool in Russian.
Yeah, like poodle's like
It's
the
like
most badass
Miasherfa or something. That's probably really offensive. I'm sorry. Imagine that was a word for poodle.
What did you even say?
I don't even know. I don't even think I could redo that.
Like,
Sure. What if that's like a slur? We have like no idea.
well, you better look that up before you put it out then.
Ignorance is bliss. All right, moving swiftly along. I just think I want to give props to Sebastian Stan. This is such a tough role, and he plays like different versions of the same character like throughout this film.
Yep.
Like when we first see him, when Cap goes to the apartment, he's kind of like half remembering Cap, half just being guarded and trying to be on his own. Then we see full Winter Soldier like mind control. Then we see like Bucky
back. Yeah.
Bucky back. Bring Bucky back, BBB. And that's just gotta be tough to do as an actor. But yeah, sorry, I actually don't know why, but I wrote all this down now in my notes. But so this was directed by Joe and Anthony Russo in 2016. The budget was $250 million.
Really?
Yeah, which is actually the same budget as Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3. Which do you think used the budget more effectively?
That's kind of tough there, man. I mean, Spider-Man 3, they had a lot going on, as we all know. So, I think it's definitely Civil War.
Yeah. Well, I think the numbers, like the gross proves that too. They made $1.153 billion. So
that's just crazy to think about, like the
that's
numbers
like
that come around.
Unfathomable number.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, dude.
Talking about numbers real quick. I just want to jump up quick a little bit to where like when we get to like the raid scene, whatever. Like when they're like in
Lagos.
Yeah, Lagos. I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
Okay. In the beginning. Yeah.
So when Cap says I make 7, Sam is bad at math because he comes in and does like a double like flip kick, kicks 2 guys, and then he like shoots a 3rd guy, and then he says I make 5.
Oh. But maybe
like,
he shot a guy that like stood up or something, or maybe he's just in the heat of the moment, just can do math. I don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of important to be able to do there. Like
in battle.
Like I'm not saying it's like trig or like calculus where you have to be like, oh, I need to figure out the square root and the Pythagorean theorem. Like no, like you took down 3 guys. Like
I do think it is cool in that sequence seeing Sam.
NATO?
Not that, but seeing Sam like Sam be led by Cap and just kind of learn by watching it and being under Cap, and then we ultimately see him take on that leadership role. Like he's very much just a soldier obeying orders from Cap, following Cap's orders in this movie, but we see him progress to become Captain America, take up that mantle in Falcon Winter Soldier. So
I actually kind of want to disagree with that because there's points where Sam's making decisions or not like decisions, but he's bringing up points to Cap that way they can then make decisions together. Like for example,
that could be then why Cap says like this guy's proving himself and why he decides to give it to him. So I just saw aspects of both actually. I didn't mean to say like it was completely like I am a soldier, Green Man from Toy Story, whatever.
No, I know what you meant, but I felt like that was a good clarification to make there.
Yeah.
And it's something we see more with Sam just in general as he progressed through the MCU as well, especially after this, where he just became more decisive. And like his own leading man, obviously in his own show and so on.
And Cap 4 coming out like announced, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's crazy. Also, I wanted to ask you a question since we're already on this scene as well.
Yes, sir.
So before What If, we theorized that like
the zombies
bioweapon was going to be the zombies thing.
Yeah,
right?
so
we
thought the bioweapon from.
But
did we?
Now we have the new.
It was from the quantum realm, right?
It's from the quantum realm.
Wait, I just want to clarify so people understand what I thought about. So yeah, and what if there was like we theorized that the reason the Marvel zombies became Marvel zombies was because of this bioweapon in Civil War, like that got unleashed somehow, but that was wrong. So sorry. Your question.
But my question is, because now there's going to be the new Marvel Zombies series. Do you think it's going to be a continuation of the previous one that we've seen in What If? Or do you think it's going to be a whole new thing to where it's going to be like...
I don't know.
Where this could be the origin of it?
I really like that universe, and I feel like they could continue it. But also, if they like continue it, I feel like they were going down the path if they're going to go to Wakanda and save the day. So that'd be a very short continuation. And that could just unless something else happens. Or it could go back and be like a different version, and that could still be a possibility. What do you think?
I don't know. Are the new series going to be animated and live action, or how are the
Marvel Zombies is animated?
Okay, so I don't know. Honestly, it really just depends on.
Maybe that's how it spread or something. Maybe the biochemical weapon like helped it spread faster or something. Or maybe it's a different thing in
strain of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. That could be the case too.
COVID-20 or something.
But yeah, no. I thought that was just something to bring up because like it was cool.
Yeah. I also like just the Russo brothers in this whole sequence again, understanding their characters, and they really do. Like I noticed before they get to the whole biochemical thing, they're like on the lookout looking for something off before they see the truck, and then they see the truck and Cap says, "Go now." And just the differences between how different characters react. Like Sam, a soldier, jumps off the building, flies into action without question.
Wanda, who's like
a kid,
new and like trying to get used to being an Avenger, is just like, what's going on?
She's like, what do you mean? Why? Yeah. And that character section, I'm glad you picked up on that too. It's like, I really appreciate that. And it like totally makes sense. It's also cool to see Wanda and Vision's like seed of a relationship in here and see how it's progressed. And now knowing what we know is really cool, but also just seeing Wanda grow as a character, and they do it so subtly, but like it makes so much sense. Like she started out as like a scared little kid in Ultron, and now she has to learn about taking responsibility for what happens when she makes an accident. And then like it keeps progressing through Infinity War and Endgame, or the power level rises. And then in WandaVision, she's like makes a huge decision to like, it was the wrong decision to like take over a whole town, but like she's backing her decisions and is like much more confident, which I think is really amazing. Just the storytelling of the MCU as a whole.
Yeah. I also feel like that there's a lot of what ifs that could have came out of like any MCU movie.
Yeah.
Like this one particular, because like you could have like, what if like say Wanda didn't save Cap? Like how would this story then continue if Cap was like dead? Or further on when we're like, okay, what if like Tony died? Or what if like there's so many different characters that came into play into this where if a single action was changed, like there's so many different variations that could come from that.
Yeah, I had a what if on TikTok when Brandon was on that we interviewed that kind of blew up, and it was like, what if Zemo's family never died? Like, this movie would not be this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know. And that would affect so much in Endgame and Infinity War. Switch that order. Oh, I also really like, there was like a sort of like filmmaking thing that they did in this whole sequence that I noticed. Like, they had the shutter speed like very high. They had a quick shutter speed. And what that does is it reduces motion blur. And it feels a little odd because we're used to seeing like motion blur. I'm waving my hand to the camera for the audio listeners. But when you reduce that motion blur, me personally, I felt like I could see more. Like I could see every like facial expression and the quick movements of like the characters when they were punching. And it just felt, I don't know, it felt like cooler. And I was like, wow, I can like really see what's going on. So I really like that decision. And that's not often made in movies in general to like reduce motion blur. I feel like that was a risk. I don't know. Did you see that at all?
I agree with you. Yeah, I did. And I feel like it goes into the stylization of what goes into like, standard action scenes. Because usually if like you're dealing with like big motions and like large distances being crossed. So that motion
you sometimes want motion blur to emphasize
exaggerate
that. Yeah.
But in
this
this
I like
case,
this. Yeah.
Because you're able to read it better and it, I don't know. Like I agree with you. You're not only that readability, but it's also just being able to follow everything better. I felt like it was good.
But yeah, then so this whole event, like we're talking about, happens, this inciting incident. I thought it was a really good inciting incident. It kind of ties into what we were talking about in Eternals, where like, what is it worth sacrificing Earth, or in this case,
trolley dilemma?
Yeah, certain lives for other lives, kind of thing. And like that, I think is, I noticed like, so Cap, his whole ideology when he's in Wakanda in Infinity War, when he's with Vision, he's like, we're not trading lives, Vision. And I think he could have had that ideology like reinforce it within him in this movie. Like I noticed when he was watching the news and the Wakanda, like T'Chaka, the Wakanda king, speaking on TV, T'Chaka says like the same thing. He's like, victory at the expense of the innocent is no victory at all. And I wonder how, I think that like resonated with Steve and he brought that ideology through. And I like never noticed that connection. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I just also think this film, and they talked about it in the director's commentary, is such a like plays to the strengths of the MCU. Like it benefits you if you have seen all the other films, and it sets up so much for the future. Like the characters, you don't have to like introduce every single one of them. And they even do it with the new characters, like Black Panther. They do it in such a way like they don't show him like waking up in Wakanda and his dad being like, oh, we need to now go to the United Nations. This is Black Panther. We're in Wakanda. They just introduce the characters.
Just put them in.
Yeah, when Captain America, like when it's important for the story for us to see them, which is the United Nations. So I thought that was done really well. Same with Spidey.
Which is kind of ironic when you think about it, because like when the same thing happened with DC, right? Like the characters are so mumbled and like nothing really worked together.
Yeah, but we had that core base of characters that we had been introduced to in the MCU. We had Man of Steel.
But no, I agree with you. Having that foundation, like it grounded the film and like allowed for these characters to show off their own, like T'Challa's whole arc with him, like,
oh my gosh,
not allowing vengeance to consume him.
Yes, I love that you said that. I was gonna say that too.
That was able to shine, but not overtake the entirety of the film.
Yes,
which was beautiful.
And also it sets up a lot for Black Panther and where he can go. And that's again what I was explaining with the beauty of like the MCU. Like they don't have to introduce characters; they can trust that they're going to get these amazing creatives and filmmakers to tell that story later on in the MCU.
Yeah.
I spit on my mic again. That's how you know I'm excited.
All right, let's jump ahead a little bit. So we got Barf.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that shot. It's like they said they did it as like a one take, which is super difficult, first of all, for the people doing the de-aging process. And that was actually the last shot delivered, but they wanted it to read as like a stage play, which it was for like the audience people watching it in MIT. They wanted to be like, it's Tony Perrone's performance of what like he's seeing like his trauma, which is like the main trauma that drives like the fight at the end. So that was important.
Quick note.
Yeah.
Because Tony says like when his dad's like which broad, and Tony says Candace. I'm like, is that the original like Candace fit in? You know what I mean?
Back in 19 whatever year Tony's parents died.
Yeah, exactly. 1991.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess I should know that.
Mission report.
Mission report. Candace.
Tony said it himself. Like, no one in their right mind would have funded Barf for the program.
Right.
So I'm like, shouldn't Mysterio, like, you know,
be thankful?
Be like, thankful? You know, he's like,
his life's
he
work,
allowed
but
your
he
technology to,
renamed it.
like, yeah, he named it Barf, but you made it a reality. You know, like, who cares? It's a joke.
Reality can be whatever I want it to be. Literally with this technology. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll get that explained more in the new Spider-Man, potentially. Which comes out in a few weeks when this drops. We've still got like a month and a half.
Also, that one
recording.
professor's meat shaft.
What? Oh, that was actually, he was an actor in Community, which was the show the Russo brothers did before they got hired for Winter Soldier. They actually did like a paintball episode, and it was like super action heavy, and that was one of the reasons that Kevin Feige got the Russo brothers on his radar, and they like kind of talked in.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, that's right. You told me about that because of the paintball. Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, dude, you gotta watch Community. It's so intense. You should watch Community. Everyone should watch Community and Arrested Development. There's another reference to Arrested Development, which was one of their first shows they ever did. With like a bigger budget. In the airport scene. So sorry, this is jumping way ahead. But in the airport scene, when like in the background of like one of the shots when I think Ant-Man's like chucking the like grow disc, you can see like a stair car, like an airport stair car, and that's the Bluth family stair car, the same like colors, is like a little Easter egg to Arrested Development. In Arrested Development, they like don't have a car, so they like end up getting this like
stair
car as like to temporarily like drive around cat town, but like they use it for the whole series, like across seasons. Like it's hilarious. They just use that as a mode of transportation. Yeah. Anyways, back to where we were at. Barf. Yeah. Oh, so the reason Pepper wasn't in this, they claim, is not for any like scheduling conflicts or money issues or anything. They just needed for this story a darker Tony Stark. And Pepper served as like his moral compass more often than not. So this would allow him to kind of like divulge. Off. Yeah. And also he feels like the Accords, he even says his reason for doing the Accords is to try to prove to Pepper in part that he's more responsible. Change.
And that he can, yeah. With that being said, I mean, we're about to jump into like the introduction of the Sokovia Accords and all that.
Right.
I personally feel like that Tony should be held much more responsible than the rest of the Avengers.
Because of Ultron?
Don't get me wrong. Well, okay, yes, because of Ultron, but hear me out. So the argument, holistically, right, is like whenever the Avengers are kicking ass, you know, there's always like
casualties,
people dying, casualties. But like, if you're thinking about it, in all the other cases, the people would have like died anyway. When it came to Loki,
right?
Like,
also,
the people would have died anyway.
And the government nuked.
They're about to nuke
New York.
Yeah, they're about to literally nuke them. So
there was 13 casualties. Yeah, there's gonna be a whole lot more if
there
you didn't.
Exactly. So like, don't blame that on us. Two, what was it with Cap and the Winter Soldier, where they were doing like the helicarriers, and they were about to
shoot like
literally shoot everybody,
million people.
So just like. Some died. The people that died locally were going to get shot anyway. I'm not going to argue that. They're totally going to get wasted anyway.
Yeah.
So don't put it on Cap either.
But I think that's.
But then Ultron, that's totally Tony.
Yeah, but I do understand the government's kind of coming at this like this, and I think it's in line very much with Senator Ross's character, because what we saw again, and they were supposed to explain this beautifully. But in Incredible Hulk, he is trying to control. The Hulk trying to control superheroes, control superhumans as a general, and just by brute force. And now he's progressed and had like a lot of change in his character off screen, which is the beauty of the MCU. And now he's entering the story at this point of his life, and he's kind of coming at that in a different way. Now he's going to do it more politically, diplomatically. So he's trying to control heroes still. So
yeah,
I just thought that motivation was great. Anyways,
I mean, it is a smart way to do it if you can't outpower them. Like, he totally messed up in Hulk. And that's another thing I also made a note of too, was like just the fact that he could go in there and like it be peaceful, right? Like, think about it. You have all these super powered entities that are literally can like decide the fate of the world on multiple occasions, but able to just sit civilly, just talk and be able to try to come to resolution to the potential future conflict. Like, there's a lot of discipline that comes with that.
Right. But I just want to back up right before we get to the Sokovia Accords. When Stark's at the elevator with that girl, that's a very important scene. And the actress had to carry a lot of weight to just remind people of why Tony's acting this way, and again show the guilt, because we know that happened in Ultron, but this is like a stark reminder of in this movie of that he feels this guilt and responsibility, and that he wants to take responsibility for those actions, and he views that as signing the Sokovia Accords. It was actually RDJ's idea to cast the actress that did that, and she did a great job.
I don't know that.
It's also interesting, just this whole story. I've been reading a lot of books recently on just like what defines us is not the things that happen to us, but it's our reaction to those things.
Yeah.
And I believe this story is a great demonstration of that with Tony and Cap. So Tony, all the same things that happen, the events of the Avengers, all of that. And Tony is they're both trying to take responsibility, but their ideas of taking responsibility are very different. Cap's like, we have to be accountable and we have to make the decisions. We can't just sign this blame away. But Tony's viewing it as like, we need to be held accountable. This is the middle ground for everyone kind of thing. So I just thought that was really cool, really well done. And it just creates this natural tension that culminates at the end. I love this movie. Really quickly, before we get to the Sokovia Accord thing, in Cap's room when he's watching the TV, there's in the background the picture that he drew in Cap 1 of him dancing as a monkey, a dancing monkey on like the unicycle thing or the bicycle. That is like in the background of the scene. So that's a little cool Easter egg nod.
Easter egg. But yeah, so then we get into what is it, Zemo doing his little thing
in Cleveland.
Okay, here's the thing. Yeah, Cleveland. That's what note I have. Just full caps. Just
Cleveland.
But no. So here's the thing, right? Now that we've seen Zemo and Falcon and Winter Soldier, like we know his background. We know like he's wealthy, right?
Yes.
We know that he's
a baron.
He's a baron, but he's also a leader of like the military squad and all that. But I'm like, Zemo could have totally like just sent in like a death squad to like take.
They might have passed away as well after the Sokovia thing.
He could have bought a death squad. He's a baron.
True.
My point is,
but he knows.
Zemo wanted to put on a full act. He was like, "Let me do this whole skit."
This is the whole thing. He knew that the Avengers had to tear themselves apart. That was the whole point. Remember?
For him getting the stuff from the Hydra guy?
From the Hydra guy.
I'm talking about specifically going to the Hydra guy.
Also, he walked up, he's like, oh man, I jumped not underwater. Like when the thing starts spilling over the edge in the shot, when he's like drowning him. His like nose and mouth are both above. I understand, but like he wouldn't have drowned.
Hail Hydra. And it's just but wait, I can just breathe through my nose.
Yeah, I do like Zemo in this movie, and I think he's a great villain. His motivation is amazing, and the way he goes about it, like very unique, different than we've seen. And like a lot of Marvel villains are often forgettable. Zemo was not. So
Zemo's definitely not.
And it's not the case of a hero and villain with opposite powers. So
like he had a totally unique background in that case.
He had totally unique powers. He was a dude that had patience.
Well, he didn't even have power. Yeah, he was just patient.
It's about drive. It's about power. We stay hungry. We know that.
It's just Zemo and his like his mask.
Yeah,
he gets his death squad and make like a music video around that.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so funny. But yeah, so
Sokovia Accords.
Sokovia Accords.
Vision's in a sweater.
Oh wait, yeah, no, they still have this scene. Yeah, I forgot about that. So he's in a sweater.
They say that Vision like fabricated that himself. It's not an actual sweater.
He fabricated he's just trying to
fit it. Haha. He envisioned it.
Oh God.
I'm actually really proud of that one. I just came up with that one. But you know what he didn't envision? You're gonna hate this segue.
What?
Peggy dying.
I knew
and
you were
now
gonna say that.
We get to this next scene.
I love this quote. It was originally done by Mark Twain. Not sure if you knew that.
Which quote?
Plant yourself like a tree and stand next to the river of truth. Yeah.
Yeah, he actually says that. That's a quote from like a Captain America comic from like a while ago.
When he was talking to Spidey. Yeah. He was trying to tell Spidey about like why he's doing what he does.
Speech that you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's a theory, a fan theory.
I thought it was a good transition.
Yeah, there's a fan theory that the guy in the back left with like dark gray hair is old man Steve carrying the casket when they're going down the aisle.
That'd be so awkward just looking at your own back of your head from when you were young.
But there's a deleted scene. It's an extended scene. You see them carrying the thing out, and unfortunately, it's not the guy. It's just a guy with a rockin' stash. Maybe that was his disguise. Maybe he fooled me. Oh, man. I do love, though, in the scene that Natasha comes to support Steve. Like it just shows their arc continuing from the bond they've made in Winter Soldier. And also like the camera angles between those were really interesting. It was like looking up, but from the side.
Yeah.
The Russo brothers said it was like to kind of, it's like a unique camera angle to kind of throw the audience off, but like allowed them to be in the moment more. I'm butchering how they described it, but it was cool. Believe me.
like I get the idea behind that, because really what you're doing when you put an angle low like that, like with them, how they were, you're technically increasing their scale. But vertically. So with that adds more to the weight of the situation.
Right. When you look,
I feel like that adds to it.
You were telling me what they said, that you empathize with them more. When you're looking down at someone, like from a high angle, you're like, I'm looking down at you.
There's more power in that. Yeah.
It's about.
But if you're below that. But if you're at the same level or below them, and you're able to be grounded and feel that with them.
I'm realizing that by the time this episode goes out, that will now be 2 weeks. It'll be like 2 or 3 weeks later than when all this It's About Drive like was relevant. So it's gonna be even older. Oh well,
it's fine. Everything's fine.
But we get Chadwick Boseman for the first time. You talked about his arc. I wanted to mention that too. So thank you for mentioning that. And we get the bombing at the UN.
Yep.
The fake bombing. Or not fake bombing, but like he faked Bucky doing the bombing.
Yeah.
Because Bucky's in Bucharest, Romania.
Yep.
Sebastian Stan was
Isn't
actually
Sebastian
born.
Stan actually Romanian?
Yeah, he's born in Romania, was raised there till he was 8, and then moved. So he did, like, him speaking Romanian, he actually did that, and like didn't really have a problem with that. Also, this little detail.
The plums?
Breaks my heart. The plums. I know we've talked about this before, but so we first see Bucky squeezing plums with his robot hand when we're introduced to him in this scene. So that means he has like the nerves connected and capability to feel how ripe, like that's the sensitivity to feel how ripe a plum is. So just imagine how much that hurts when his arm is ripped off at the end of the film. And also when just anything happens to his arm, when he gets shot, he uses it as like a bulletproof hand.
Well, that's the thing. I wonder if he's able to like turn that on and off. Be like, yeah, no nerve damage. Let me just turn off all feeling.
But what if he doesn't? Like when he's brainwashed, he probably doesn't know how to do that. So like when he wakes up and his arm is like in that like hydraulic press, what if he's just like, oh my gosh, my plum feeling arm.
Because it's metal though, it's not like a like fleshy arm. Because if you put like your arm in like a metal press, like you'd be like but like because it's metal, I mean, I feel like the properties of that also have to go over to like the nervous system reading. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, that does. But still, I want him to wake up like, my plum arm.
Also, sorry, since we're talking about nervous system stuff.
Yeah.
Talking about crossbones.
Oh yeah.
Natasha, this is like way early in the movie, but like Natasha like tries to tase him. I'm like, technically, he wouldn't feel it, but his nervous system still works because he's like.
I thought you said taste him.
Yes, he tasted it. Like, for all things considered, I think I still look pretty good.
Yeah, Natasha thinks so too.
But no, like if you think about it, like his nervous system still works, right? So if she's tasing him, shouldn't he still like, lose control?
He don't work like that no more, sweetheart, or whatever he says.
Like I get that like his nerves have damage, but like I don't know. I feel like for his nervous system to function, like he should still he shouldn't feel it, like it shouldn't hurt, but like he should still convulse.
I don't know.
Which would be a weird sensation to think about it. You just like lose control.
And you're like, what is happening?
Like, what is going on?
You're just like an amazing break dancer all of a sudden. Every time you want to dance, like show off, you just like shock yourself. You're like a literal rag doll.
That'd be so freaking funny, dude.
But yeah, so we then get the apartment sequence, and just Sebastian Stan gained like, I think I've read like 35 pounds of muscle for this. He's thick with 5 C's, let me tell you. I really like this whole fight sequence in the apartment. Like down the stairs, they actually built like 4 stories of a staircase and extended it with visual effects to like accomplish this. It
was beautiful. Just the whole momentum. Like that's one thing I carried through in this whole scene was the momentum of it.
Yeah. Because like Bucky knew where he was going. We could tell like he had a whole plan. He had to get to that tunnel so he could avoid choppers. So like it was very well thought out on his part and the writer's part for like writing that for him to think out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what he didn't account for though was Black Panther, and just the running underground scene that was so cool. I'm sure you've seen, but like on Stuntman React on Corridor, they talk about how they use this technique called like the magic carpet, and what they do is they drag a giant like carpet behind a car that's driving, and then they run on that. So they're actually like moving. They get up to, I think he said, like 40 miles an hour running. And
they're still like on it. Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
It's crazy. Like if you fall off like that, you just cannot do that.
You fall off, you just become a giant skid mark.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy Guy, who is like one of Black Panther's stunt doubles, was on like the Stuntman React show on Corridor. You should definitely check it out. But he just talked about like how he was actually like hanging on the back of the car. They like installed a bar for him to hang on to when it's on the back
Really?
of Cap's car. Yeah,
That's intense.
yeah, and he actually was on there as they smashed through like those barrels when he crossed over lanes to avoid the cops.
Smashing.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool.
Which
And
also, I didn't really get that. Like, think about it. Those barrels are supposed to be like filled with either dust or like dirt or water. So
the barrels are supposed to
like
prevent that, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's supposed to prevent that. Like, why did it still? I don't know.
Well, he's Captain America. I was just saying the shot where Bucky grabs the guy off the motorcycle.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy shot.
Practical. Like they had a guy on wire that was originally riding the motorcycle, and they yanked him off, and then the stunt double like is literally like wrangling this motorcycle. The motorcycle is on a wire, so it like on the back tires, so you spin it and lift it, and the guy spinning it is just trying to wrangle it down as best as he can. So
that's crazy.
It's cool. Oh, movies are so cool.
Trying to just wrestle a motorcycle.
Yeah, that should have been on our episode. We talked about it was 2 weeks ago when this goes out, but we talked about it last week. Matchups. Man versus a motorcycle.
That reminds me of like those the Geico commercials, or like I forget which brand, but there's some insurance commercial where it's like the guy that's like the bottom half of him is a motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Like Centaur motorcycle thing. Yeah, I've seen this. I also just think this whole sequence is a great introduction to Black Panther and his abilities, and showing like how bad he is, because he's going toe to toe, or paw to paw, should I say, or paw to arm, metal
arm, or paw to shield, or paw to car,
paw to motorcycle with the Avengers. They get captured. Captured. And we get Wanda and Vision cooking. Get a little more of the relationship.
Paprika.
Yeah. Paprika.
Like, it was a nice moment again to like break up the seriousness. This is one of the good moments here. But then at the same time, it honed back in on the serious side to where he's like, I want everybody to see you how I see you.
Yeah.
I
felt like anyone treat me like Vision treats Wanda. What the heck?
I feel like it's a good way to like, one, get like engage the viewers back into that tone, but also to like explore their relationship, right? Because they're not like together yet, but they're like, you know, they're feeling up the waters there. Yeah.
So we move on to the sequence where Zemo gets into the cell with Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier. Yep. I really like when he starts mind washing Bucky with the book. Like the Winter Soldier musical cue starts to like the ominous like ring.
Brainwashing?
Yeah, like
you said mind washing.
Oh, brainwashing, whatever. Mind wiping.
I've
Brainwashing.
never heard it said like that. I was like, that literally caught me off guard for something like mind washing.
When he starts doing
I imagine like a brain with like a bar.
When he's brainwashing Bucky with the book, like the Winter Soldier's musical cue, like the ominous like ring comes back again from the last film, just to signal that this is not Bucky anymore. I just thought that was really cool. But also I saw how it should have ended with this scene, and it was like, why didn't Bucky just like when he ripped out of his cover his ears and start like singing? So,
I know, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, why? You literally could have just like, I mean, I don't know how much that would hurt to like jam a metal finger in your ear, but like,
what would Bucky sing? Do you think?
Like, what's music that was good around during World War II?
The 40s? I don't know. He got to live through all the best hits. He got to live through every generation. Dang. What if he went to Live Aid? Imagine the Winter Soldier at Live Aid. That'd be sick.
Oh
dude,
my
this
God,
guy's a metal arm. That's so metal.
It reminds me of the scene from Venom where he's like, "These are my people."
Yeah. Imagine Venom and Winter Soldier just going to Live Aid together.
Just vibing at Live Aid, yeah.
So then this whole sequence like breaks out. Oh, when Bucky was like punching the door, there's a behind the scenes in the gag reel where he like punches it accidentally too hard in one of the earlier takes, and like the door falls over and like shatters as Zemo's just like walking around still doing like all the reading like before it was supposed to, and Sebastian Stan's like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's just like this like super intimidating supposed to be scene. It was funny.
Also, before we continue with this, we kind of took a jump over the scene between Cap and Tony.
Oh, with the pens?
Yeah.
That was RDJ's idea, actually, for that whole sequence of the pens, like that metaphor. But yeah, what do you want to mention about that? Yeah.
Well, no, I thought it was important because throughout this movie, there's like big hitting points between the relationship between Cap and Tony, and here's a point to where they're about to make amends. Like it was at the point to where they're almost gonna stop this thing from progressing, right? But
yeah, but Cap had to put a cap on the pen.
Oh my god! No, when Tony showed his true colors, and then like again his control problem and how he's trying to prevent Wanda from going off and like scaring people, whatever.
Going rogue.
Which I can get, but at the same time, it's compromising on like Cap's like main ideal, which is freedom.
Yeah. It's an important one.
It just reminded Cap of why he needed to not sign the award.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt that was important.
Yeah, definitely. But then we get to the elevator shaft, and there's actually one of the first scenes they shot in this whole film was Cap when he gets onto the roof. He climbs out of the elevator and does the whole like bicep.
The arm thing
when he's holding the helicopter down. I have a couple notes about this. Apparently, on the first day, the day he came on the set, to film this, wardrobe department, there was like a miscommunication, and he had like a big jacket on, and the others were like, no, we need to see his arms. So they took the jacket off, and then he did like the scene, which is I think why later they like there's an insert shot of Captain America before he climbs out of the elevator, he takes off his jacket. So I think that was how they showed this is why he doesn't have a jacket on anymore. I don't know if that was confirmed, but I do know that miscommunication thing was an actual thing. Also, when Cap was doing the thing on the rig with the helicopter,
the flexing,
apparently when the riggers were setting it up, when he first did it, it was like way too close and it didn't look realistic, like he was actually holding anything. So Chris Evans was like, guys, come on, you gotta stretch it a little bit. So the next time they actually stretched it, and he actually like messed up his shoulder pretty bad for like a few weeks. Like he had to go to RDJ's tent, and RDJ like had like a special thing that he was helping him with.
Some nanotech.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I didn't know that. That's pretty sad, but also kind of funny. He's like, "Hey, we gotta bring it." Oh my god, no!
Yeah. I also just saw an interview. I just put this note in here randomly, but Chris Evans actually directed a film in between filming Cap 2 and Cap 3. And he said he felt like he had a fuller understanding of like the whole process of like filmmaking now that he's done directing. And he kind of let himself experiment more with the character and like try out different ways of acting. He said often before he like an actor and himself included would like try to just like nail one version of like the dialogue because he knew that was like worked, or he thought that would work. And this now after being in the editing room and seeing all the different options, he was like, I want to give more variety. So I thought that was cool that he had gained that perspective from directing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I also like when Tony goes in to fight Sebastian Stan, Winter Soldier, when he's going all crazy without his Iron Man suit. Like he just shows, again, Tony's a hero. Like he could very easily get injured or die and he still goes in and fights.
He almost got shot in the freaking head. If he didn't have his gauntlet on, he would have been like, toast. Oh man, that'd be a brutal way for Tony to go in this film. Like, imagine if that was like an actual what if, where like the glove was like on the opposite hand,
on the wrong hand,
or you like block with the wrong hand. It's just oh god, that'd be brutal.
Yeah.
But also like T'Challa here, where he like freaking ran all the way around and then back.
Yeah,
up
like
top.
Climbed so many floors before Sebastian Stan like walked up like 2 flights. Like that was.
Like
I
he
was like, whoa.
the floor with him, and then Bucky's just like, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out. But then we get him in the hydraulic press, like we said, and we learn the twist. That's actually the fake twist that we're supposed to believe that the third act's gonna be like this huge battle between all these like Winter Soldiers people. So we learned here that there were Winter Soldiers in this flashback. I really like the color grading in this flashback. Like it's very like
it's gritty and dark
and gritty. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the Winter Soldiers that were in that scene, they were actually the stunt doubles for a lot of the main actors. Like the woman was Black Widow's stunt double. The main guy was Captain America's stunt double. One of the guys in the background doubled for Anthony Mackie and sometimes Black Panther. So I thought that was cool.
That's interesting. I mean, hey, that makes sense because like
glad they got their moment to shine.
Yeah, because one, it gives them a moment to like show themselves, but at the same time, it's also like we're badasses.
Yeah.
Like
after they all escape, like Cap escapes with Bucky. When Tony is asking Ross to go after the Avengers and Ross gives him that like deadline, I really like how they set that scene up. So Ross is standing like over Tony. Tony's like sitting down looking up at him. He's literally, it's literally set up like Tony's like begging him, which just shows what the Accords would do and kind of reinforces like Cap's ideals.
Lack of control that they'd have.
Yeah. And the way they shot it too, like the camera's like looking up at Ross, like he's this intimidating figure. You have to like look up at him, and then Tony, it's like more or less on his eye level because we don't want to diminish him because he's our main character, but we're not looking up at him in triumph because this is not a triumphant moment for him.
Yeah. I also like how in this moment how Ross is just like Rogers, Barnes, and like his cuts, and then it's just Wilson. You know, like
because I bet he's probably like, if I don't say every single person, Stark's gonna come back and be like, you only said this one.
I just thought it was funny how like he like almost forgot about Sam. I'm like, oh come on, don't do my boy like
bird
that.
Costume.
Oh yeah, so you like cats? That was a good moment. But yeah, so now they're in the middle press and they're trying to figure out which kind of Bucky. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And actually, so Tom Holland, it's crazy. He found out he was casted from Marvel's Instagram. Like Marvel announced on Instagram because he thought he didn't get it because he didn't hear anything for a while. Like he went through so many audition processes, and then they announced. He saw what a friend was like, "Hey, they're announcing the new Marvel, whatever. Did you see the news?" And he's like, "No, what?" And he looked on the Marvel Instagram. He thought he didn't get it because he hadn't been told anything for weeks after his last audition. And they announced like Tom Holland's our new Spider-Man. He was like, what? So he found out like when the public did. And then like a few days later, they flew him down. He was on set shooting. So that was crazy. I can't imagine how much of a whirlwind that was a bit.
Like you go through all those auditions, you get to interact with like, you know, the actual actors, like the
RDJ
Avengers.
and Chris Evans, the screen test.
And then you're just like, oh man, I didn't get it, you know. You're like, it takes like a couple of days, you know, for that to be like, okay, you know, it happened. I've given my all. And
Move
then
on
you're
to the next
like,
audition.
you see it, and you're like, oh.
Cancel my other auditions. But yeah, so there was actually 7,500 tapes that the casting directors like were submitted, and they looked through, and they met 200 of the applicants, and then kept whittling it down. Did screen tests. The screen test they did was a version of the scene where RDJ comes into Peter Parker's bedroom. That was part of the screen test that they did together. That was cool. And they got to like work through that scene before they got to actually do it. And that scene actually, there's a moment when Tom Holland
Tony
like
tells him to move.
Yeah, Tom Holland has his leg on the bed.
That was an accident.
Yeah, Tony was like, I'm gonna sit. You're gonna move your leg, because I'm gonna sit here or something like that. What do you say? I'm gonna sit here, so
move the leg.
So you move the leg, and Tom Holland just forgot the blocking and didn't move his leg when he was supposed to. So RDJ just stayed in character as Tony Stark and told him to move the leg, and it just like worked. And the Russo brothers liked it, so they kept it in. So happy little accidents. Bob Ross over here. It's also interesting. Spider-Man was originally supposed to be a bigger part in this movie. They wrote him in to be a bigger part, but they weren't sure if they were going to actually get the Sony, Marvel, Disney deal. So they kind of started taking him back out of it and adding Black Panther as a bigger role. And then they found out they got Spider-Man, and Black Panther was already so woven and integrated into the story, they just wanted to leave him there. And Spider-Man was less of a character. I think it worked out.
I honestly feel like it was a better role or positioning for that. Because one, again, like it's a very young Spider-Man. Like,
which I love.
He said, it's great. But like he said it himself, he's only been Spider-Man for like 6 months at this time, right? So I feel like if he was like a bigger role, that would just like, I don't know. There's still an immaturity to that version of him.
Yes, and they get to explore that in Homecoming.
Yeah, exactly. That like Homecoming was a perfect way to explore that. But T'Challa, like he's already had training and been through like being Black Panther and all that. Like we don't know that because we haven't seen it. But like when we started seeing it, when he started going after Bucky, like, you know, that started to really develop and grow. And plus, we also had better motives there for like understanding like why he wanted to go after Bucky, right? I just feel like there's much more power behind that. About drive.
I just really want to quickly talk about the deal that Sony and Marvel, Disney all came to. They weren't sure again if they were going to get this. The Russo brothers wanted it, and Kevin Feige approached Sony and like through Disney and Marvel. If you think about it, it's really interesting because when they were developing this, it was like 2014, which is, I believe, like right around the time The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out and kind of didn't do too well.
Bombed, yeah.
Imagine you're Sony you just had a bomb, and here comes Disney rubbing salt into the wound. I almost said womb. Into the wound. Yeah. And they're into the wound, and they're like, yeah, your character sucked. Let us take him back. Like I feel like that's gotta hurt, you know? And apparently they almost didn't allow them to do it. They were planning on continuing Garfield's universe and making that Sinister Six movie, but then I think Andrew Garfield kind of like expressed disinterest and they kind of split. So they were like, yeah, we're not gonna do anything. And they came out to a deal that was Sony and Marvel they would make these Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man could be in the team up movies. Marvel and Disney would put in all the financing for that and get all the profits from that. Sony would put the financing in, but Marvel would produce the Homecoming, Far From Home movies. And then Sony would get all the profits from that. And then Disney would pay a lump sum of like so many $1 million, at least 35. It was more than $35 million to Sony. And then they would retain all the merchandising rights to Spider-Man. But if the Homecoming movie, there's like a weird contingency. If the Homecoming movie made more than like $1 billion, or no, $750 million, which it did, then that price would go down to $35 million that they had to pay Sony, and it did hit that. So they only had to pay till only $35 million. Pocket change, you know. I just thought it was just interesting, all those politics.
It's just crazy to think about, like the logistics that go into that. Yeah.
Back to the tank. We then cut to Clint coming in and trying to distract Vision and get Wanda. It's really funny when
I had a really good plan.
Yeah, when the explosion happens. In the behind the scenes, like on the gag reel, this is Vision just like descends out of frame. Like Paul Bettany just like squats down. He's like, she's like, what is it? And he's like, stay here. I'll check it out. And because like Paul Bettany obviously can't face through a wall, so he had to just like squat down. For those audio listeners, I just squatted down in the chair and Daniel.
Oh, that's so funny, dude.
I just thought that was funny.
I'll check it out.
And also, it was on the gag reel because people behind the camera were laughing as well. They were like, that's ridiculous. Yeah, so we see Clint's back. I'm really excited for Hawkeye. We recorded this before Hawkeye came out, but our episode on Hawkeye. And also, sorry, I missed the Spider-Man thing. John Watts was actually hired around the same time Tom Holland was casted as Spider-Man and got permission and literally like followed the Russo brothers around on set while they were filming this to get the vibe of what the Russo brothers wanted and kind of collaborate. And the Russo brothers like asked John Watts what he wanted for his vision. So it was like a huge collaboration process for like how the vision of Spider-Man wanted to be created. So I think that's why it's so uniform between the movies.
Good job, I think it worked out well. Yeah, it's always better to have people work together than to be at each other's like throats.
Yeah, so. I thought it was funny when Clint says, "I knew I should have stretched." So I just imagine that the Avengers do like a group stretch session before every like final battle, led by like Hawkeye or anyone. I don't know. Who would you think would lead?
Imagine if it was led by the Hulk. Like it's like him doing like our cross country stretches. So he's like, all right, calves.
Yeah. That's not calves, but okay.
Well, you know what I mean, like or quads.
Yeah. Also, so when Wanda like she doesn't push him through the earth, she makes him so dense that he's that heavy and just crushes through the earth. So I thought that was
really
brutal. Yeah, that they distinctly like made that distinction. A lot of people think that, but it was Wanda changing his density, because what she first does is she makes him not as dense so that Clint phases through him. Then she makes him super dense, so much so that the earth cannot support him.
I feel like I make a black hole.
Don't piss off your girlfriend there, Vision.
So how far do you think he went, though?
I don't know. Journey to the center of the earth. He's gonna see the rock. It's about drive. It's about power.
Because like in that case, I mean, he can change his density later, then I guess. But like, I don't know. Do you think he can change that density himself to be like that dense?
That dense? I'm not sure if he can and or would want to.
So no, that brings me to my second point then. So then how would he have undone it?
Maybe like she probably didn't want to hurt him permanently, so because she does like him, so maybe she like let him off so that he could just like sit there and heal.
All around me or just in the middle of earth.
I want to quickly say some of the interviews, RDJ, they said he had like a trailer park. He had like 4 or 5 small trailers. And he would like have people over for dinner occasionally. And like people got jealous when it was like when they saw someone going to dinner, they were like, oh man, like Zemo, the actor Daniel, he got to go over. Anthony Mackie was like, dang it, I didn't get to go. And apparently Sebastian Stan was going to get invited or something, but like Sebastian Stan, the first day before they were shooting their scene, like Sebastian Stan sent a video to RDJ of him just like ripping out bicep curls with like a decapitated Iron Man helmet like in front of him. And he was like, can't wait for our shoot tomorrow. and RDJ was like, oh geez, this guy's method, not inviting him over.
Oh, that's pretty funny, dude.
Yeah. Also, I would like to point out that the Russo brothers got something wrong in their director's commentary. They said that the kiss with Sharon Carter was the second on-screen kiss of Captain America, if I'm remembering that correctly. And that's actually not true, because he had Peggy. He also had Natalie Dormer before that.
The blonde lady.
And Black Widow in Winter Soldier.
I thought you were going to say
Bucky. And probably Bucky off screen. Maybe they were saying second kiss that they directed, which I'll give them that slack. I'll cut them some slack. Because then they introduced Paul Rudd, sexiest man alive. Did you see he was just like voted that or got that?
Yes.
That's good for him, man. And actually, the Wasp was considered to be put into this movie early on.
I'm about to say the Wasp was considered to be the sexiest man alive.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
But they considered her in an earlier draft, but they wanted her first appearance to be in
The second
Ant-Man and the Wasp, because that was already in the works. So they decided to do that. And apparently Paul Rudd was just super excited. He was like fangirling, because when he made Ant-Man, that was the last movie we talked about in this whole series. He like was in his own little unique world. Like he wasn't connected to like Iron Man. He saw Sam Wilson, but that was it. So like when he got to see like Captain America, he was like ecstatic. Apparently he's told a story that like when Chris Evans went to the bathroom one time, he like gave the prop guy like his shield, and Paul Rudd like walked over and was like, hey man, like, and he can I hold that? And he like held the shield. He was like flying around like, wow, this is amazing. It's heavier than I thought. So,
I mean, honestly, that's what I would do. Like,
yeah,
it's Cap's shield. Like, you wouldn't want to play with it?
Yeah.
Didn't Chris Evans like break like 3 or 4 shields like throughout filming, just in general?
He's broken a lot of shields. Yeah, I think I saw a story they broke one. Like him and Anthony Mackie were like playing frisbee with one, and it broke.
Yeah.
So I think that was Winter Soldier, though. I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah, but I just want to say with Paul Rudd, I feel like that giddiness and like excitement of being around everyone kind of led over to his performance, which like made sense for the character. Like he's fighting with the Avengers. He was like a crook before, so
yeah. Thank you for thinking of me. You know.
Yeah. Thanks for thanking of me. Also, just so this is like a new feature on Disney Plus. I did not know it was a thing, but like, did you watch this on Disney Plus, or did you watch like a DVD?
No, I watched it on Disney Plus. Did
you see like the aspect ratio change, because they have it in like IMAX now? You can watch like the certain sequences that were filmed in IMAX or for IMAX in the IMAX aspect ratio, and they had that whole airport sequence in IMAX. So I was like, whoa, interesting. I'm seeing new things. Apparently, this is a little jumping ahead, but in Endgame, they showed the aspect ratio change, and the scene when spoiler for Endgame. Seriously, if you haven't seen it, don't listen to this next few seconds. But when Tony's dead and he is like doing that hologram, and Morgan and Pepper and Happy are watching it, there's 2 people standing behind him, and you don't see those people because aspect ratio cuts them off. But in the IMAX, it's freaking Thor and Captain America. But like, you would never know that. So like, I thought that was really interesting that they were there watching that message too. Anyways,
yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. Back to the tank. What did you think of the airport sequence?
The airport fight?
Yes.
I thought it was amazing. There were some cuts where it's just like, okay, how did Sam and Bucky get out of the spider web that quickly, and then like back out running in the field? Like,
right.
But
they can't show everything though.
Yeah, exactly.
It was already so long.
Yeah, it was a lot that was going into
Red Wing or something maybe. Let's fill in the holes ourselves. Bucky detached his arm, and Mrs. Nesbitt style, like Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 1 with Buzz Lightyear. But yeah, so they said this like fight sequence was almost like a 3-act structure
on its own
within itself. Like
it was
like Captain America and his team like kind of had the upper hand at first, and then Vision comes in and the tides kind of turn. They're all facing each other and like face off, and then Giant Man I think is like 3rd act-ish. But it took this sequence apparently was like brutal to film. It took months like on the tarmac in Atlanta for most of it, and it was in the summer.
So dude, that's boiling.
And the costumes like super hot. Apparently Guy, the guy that was the stunt double for Black Panther on Corridor Crew, he said that like the suit would fill with sweat and become like a 20-pound suit, which it wasn't before. Like 20 pounds heavier.
It's almost like the suits in Dune.
Yeah, they're keeping the moisture. This time you don't want it. But yeah, so it's just brutal. They said, I think the Russo brothers said they took the temperature of the tarmac itself one day.
102.
120.
120?
Yeah, so like they had to be careful the shoes didn't like melt into the
Jesus.
tarmac. Oh, also that scene you were talking about when Anthony Mackie's character gets webbed up, his stuntman, you can see it. This is the shot they used, but his stuntman fell too far backwards when he and Bucky get pushed off the railing, and he almost he is inches from clipping his head on the escalator, like the railing. It was crazy. It's like the shot they used. So if you want to see that, scary stuff.
I liked how Spider-Man was introduced in this, when we first. I feel like we should.
His
talk
quips
about this
were so good. Yeah.
Yeah, like his character and his quips were good. The costume design was something that was new and different. That's the one thing I didn't really like about the Andrew suits, if I'm being honest, is I felt like it stole a lot from Maguire, but like it didn't really add to it in any dynamic way. But this was something that was completely different.
I think this suit was like altered a lot in post. Like I think if you look at
definitely
the original suit,
the original suit was completely different. It had a different spider, different eyes.
Yeah, they had like thicker webbing. I think.
Yep.
Which a lot of people liked, but I like this version too.
No, I like this version. For this Spider-Man, I like this, like the whole suit systemically, just top down.
Tom down.
One of the big things I like about it is actually the back spider, because that falls a lot. Like it's probably the closest one we've seen to like an actual classic. Spider, like the classic back spider. I can't freaking speak. But no, so I felt like the way that he was also just like talking, be like, "Hey, buddy, I think you forgot this," or like when he's trying to talk to Sam about like his flight suit.
Yeah,
like it just adds to the character so much, and that's also very important because again, this is our first time seeing him.
It's also funny in interviews like outside of this, like Sebastian Stan and specifically Anthony Mackie just like tease the heck out of Tom Holland, and they're he's such a diva, and like the one interview where like after Homecoming came out, Anthony Mackie was like, I should really watch this movie at like an interview with Tom Holland. And he was like, you haven't seen it? And everyone's like, oh my gosh. And then Tom Holland's like, well, I haven't seen the Falcon
movie. Oh, wait.
So that was good. There was a subtle detail when Spidey and Bucky are fighting and Spidey catches Bucky's metal arm. First off, he's shocked that he catches his arm, but then there's like a second level of like shock when Spider-Man starts speaking and he's like, oh my gosh, he realizes like
it's just a kid.
Yeah. But that doesn't stop him from chucking that thing at him.
He's at that point. He's like, okay, am I okay with murdering kids? Yes,
I've done it before.
So, let me. Jesus,
freaking what's his face's kid in Falcon Winter Soldier?
That is true. Yeah, he was like, you know what? I mean, I remember them all. What's one more Spider Boy for the list? Yay.
I thought it was cool in this sequence. Chris Evans said it's tough to act in that like cowl cap he has on. That wasn't I didn't try to that pun. That was just like he's literally wearing a cap, but because it covers his eyebrows and like you get like a lot of emotion.
You get a lot of expression from your eyebrows.
Like he's like furrowing his eyebrows to be angry, but like when you don't have that, you just look like weird. And the Bruce Brothers would be like, we need more like intensity. And Chris Evans was like, I'm furrowing so hard, you just can't see it.
I feel like he made up for it a lot in just the way he expresses himself.
Like,
one just with
himself,
like mouth and jaw, but also just like general head movements there,
like his biceps.
Like, Queens or Brooklyn, like there's more weight to it than just saying like,
Brooklyn.
There's
a little thing that comes up when Bucky says to T'Challa, I didn't kill your father. And T'Challa's like, then why did you run?
Yeah, I'm like, well, maybe because if everybody wasn't trying to kill me, if you give me a second to breathe.
I would also run.
Like, I wouldn't be running. I'd be explaining. But you guys are literally like, shoot on sight.
Yeah.
Like, there's this Black Panther man that's literally chasing me out of my home. Like, I just wanted some plums. Like,
my plum arm, please. And then so we get the iconic shot of Ant-Man on the Hawkeye's arrow. Call back to the comics. Really cool.
Yep.
Oh, again, what we were talking about earlier, Captain America calling the shots, and then people were like, oh, we're not going to get out of this alive. Steve then diverts the plan. He's like, Sam, what's the call? So like he's again like kind of training, even if it's like not intentional, letting Sam become this leader. I thought that was cool. And
it was a good moment.
Giant Man comes out. I like in this moment, Clint introduces himself to T'Challa, and he's like, I don't care. But like later in Endgame, we see T'Challa's like, Clint, give it to me. So like he remembers, you know? I thought that was cool.
No, it's nice to see how like the characters, like the interactions carry through like holistically.
Yeah.
Like even with small interactions like that. Also like out towards the end, we get the Spidey comment with, remember that old movie, The Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
How old is this kid? I don't know. I didn't carbon date him, you know?
Yeah. The video cutout heads up for the next few minutes, next 15 minutes or so. It's still really valuable information, and I still highly recommend you watch it. I'll put in some cool freeze frames of me looking all disheveled and not very appealing. So look forward to those. Back onto the show. What was also funny, I think, is when
I thought you were about to get like all serious or like flip it. Be like, you know what else is funny? When War Machine falls and almost dies.
No! Oh my gosh.
Like,
I was going back to Falcon and Winter Soldier. They are running in this airport, like when Spidey's fighting them. They actually filmed that part, I believe, in the actual airport in Germany, I believe. Or they just filmed a scene there, but the airport, they couldn't shut it down because they were filming there for a while. So like it was like an active airport. So just imagine you're like running to catch your flight, and then like Sebastian Stan, like the Winter Soldier just sprints past you.
Hey, what is that?
Got any plums? He asks you as he goes by. That'd be funny.
Everybody's got a gimmick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how they got it. Someone said that to him, and they were like, that'd be great for the movie. That sequence happens, and Rhodes, like you said, is paralyzed. I really like the shot. They like cutting back and forth. They reorder a lot of things in that sequence, but you never really they cut so much that you lose the sense of how close he is to the ground. He's just falling, and then the last shot, like he's falling, and
like the super wide, and you just
you see like Tony might get him, and then all of a sudden the ground like appears like a moment before he hits it, like it emerges from the bottom of the frame, and you're like, it like shocks you. That was cool.
Yeah. I also felt like it was honorable what Falcon did here, where he's like,
I'm sorry.
Like he was also trying to save him, like he was also trying to dive and get him, but he's also apologized because like you never want anything to escalate to that point, even though they're.
I mean, it wasn't his fault, really.
Well, it wasn't. But at the same time, like they're all fighting, and he didn't want to be. His actions led to that happening. So like,
well, so did Tony's.
Yeah, exactly. So that's blames.
If he didn't have Ultron, he wouldn't have had the Sokovia cores, and but if he never got the Iron Man suit, he wouldn't have fallen out of the Iron Man suit.
If he gave him a second arc reactor as a backup system, you know,
if he had a
which he does later.
Wait, well, we do learn he learns from this mistake. Like we said, Iron Man's always learning from his mistakes. So he puts in Peter's suit, Peter's parachute, Spider-Man's suit, a parachute, a spider chute. Yeah. But also, wasn't this the suit that he made before this happened? Is it the same suit, or did he like bring it in for the shop to put those upgrades in and then send it back to Peter? You know what I mean?
Done that. I don't know.
Maybe.
We fill in the gaps. Either way, he still had a wingsuit.
True.
But again, I don't know if he added that later either, too.
Oh, I also, we get Black Widow, like, betrays them. I think Black Widow, the movie, would have been great if it came out after this. And been received a lot better, in my opinion.
Same.
But they were, like, you know, filming the two biggest movies of, like, all time almost. So I understand why they couldn't really get on that. Yeah. And then we see, like, what's his face's master plan, Zemo's plan, and, like, Tony starts figuring it out with, what's it called? The
Friday,
and that Zemo had killed the doctor, which is actually played by Joe Russo. One of the Russo brothers is the doctor that was supposed to see Bucky Barnes. There's actually a deleted scene of Zemo meeting up with him as Joe Russo gets off the train. The doctor's like, he thinks he's like his chauffeur, and Zemo acts like his chauffeur. So that's how he like gets his trust.
Gets him.
Yeah.
Also, we should probably talk about Tony always feeling up his left arm and the meaning behind that.
Okay, what?
Well, one, just beyond the physicality of it, like where he like hurt his arm, like
he did break his arm.
Yeah, it's reoccurring throughout the film because it's almost leading into Tony's insecurity in that sense. I feel like there's a lot of times throughout this film where he feels like he's making the right choice, but he also doesn't know if he is. Again, it fills a lot in with that guilt where he was before used to think like, hey, we were doing the right thing, we were saving the world, like when, you know, the Avengers came around, or like when Loki came around, but then like the whole thing where it's like there's a pain in him that's not just
physical.
I guess that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah, it's not just physical, and the arm thing is kind of, you know,
symbolizing
the key that brings that in. Yeah,
cool. I do like that interpretation of it. I think it totally makes sense. But then I just wanted to quickly also mention the arcs, not the arc reactor, but the arcs that we get with, I talked about this a lot with Endgame with you, but like Cap and Tony throughout the whole MCU are just, their arcs, they start on different ends and end up crossing. Like we see in the beginning of Cap, his journey, he's a soldier, he just blindly follows orders. And then his faith is constantly shaken when he realizes the governments maybe don't have the best interests in mind and are maybe not all that good, especially in like Winter Soldier, it ended up being Hydra. And this one, the government's trying to take control of the Avengers. So he's becoming more of a person that is going to choose his own path and what he believes is right, because he believes his own moral code. Tony, on the other hand, has been always super selfish and has only done things for himself out of like malicious intent sometimes. Not really, but like more so than Captain America. His arc and story has become him taking responsibility for his actions, and they ultimately both culminate. We're already seeing them cross here, like Tony's taking more responsibility and everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't you. And Cap is more like, we can't sign this, signing away our right to choose. And then they cross, and ultimately, spoilers again for Endgame, it comes to culmination where when Tony Stark makes the ultimate sacrifice for everyone, giving up his life in duty and service to save everyone, and then Cap, after the fight is done, makes a sacrifice and chooses himself to not keep fighting, but to live a life for himself with Peggy.
Yeah.
So I just thought this is continuing on that trajectory and done so well. So I also like, really quick, the scene right before Cap gets off the plane with Bucky, the Quinjet, when they're in Moscow, I believe it is, or Russia, wherever they are.
Siberia?
Maybe. Possibly. He gets off, and there's a quick little interaction. Do you remember when they're talking about...
Dolores?
Dolores, yes. I think this is really key, and I saw a little connection on Instagram a while ago that someone made. I don't know if this is actually confirmed, but like, I think it's, again, if it's true, the Russo brothers staying true to their characters. Bucky, when he was back in that time, was this big, handsome, strapping young lad that like had women throwing themselves at him. He didn't have to bother to learn their names. They didn't care. Steve, on the other hand, was a skinny little kid that to stand out, he had to carry it to... He also is just a caring person, so he probably learned
I didn't say
their names.
He didn't have to, but like he is a caring guy, so like
and the fact that he remembers that,
he remembers details like that,
shows he is still just a skinny little kid inside. So I thought that was super subtle, super amazing. Again, the Russo brothers just know their characters. Thank you. All right, please make more Marvel movies.
Oh wait, we forgot to talk about the bro moment.
What bro moment?
With Sharon, where like
they kiss.
Falcon. Well, yeah, but then like they're both like, hey, good job, buddy. You know, that was funny.
Yeah, Steve, I'll kiss your niece.
What?
No. What is his last name? Rogers.
Peggy.
Steve, I'll kiss your niece. Rogers.
Oh, you're giving him a name. I thought you were saying it as like an action. I'm like,
no, I knew who Peggy is.
I thought you were saying like Steve's niece, like you're like he was kissing Steve, and like you're kissing your own niece. Sweet home Alabama. Like, good connect here. Before Tony gets there, I didn't realize this until like literally this watch through. But like, remember how Sam was like, you need to go alone and as a friend.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when Cap is like, he's my friend, and then Tony's like, so was I.
Oh.
Like I never thought about that. Arc there, like it totally changed. Like yeah, it's obvious. Like, oh, they're not like friends anymore. They're trying to beat each other to the death. But like,
but they said it. But you know what I mean? Really
like,
cool connection. Yeah. So I guess he broke his promise to Sam. What the heck? Yeah. So then we get Zemo revealing the plan, and we find out the twist that it's this final act is not going to be Tony, Bucky,
versus like
Cap,
all
versus the Winter Soldiers,
the Death Squad.
It's them versus each other, which is just so much more interesting and amazing. This fight was just so amazing, so raw. The airport fight, again, was amazing, but this one was rooted in, like, conflict with each other. Like, there's a lot of cases where people are fighting, and it can easily be solved with, like, oh, wait, you just have a misunderstanding. Let's just really quickly, like, hash this out. But, like, there was no misunderstanding here.
There's no misunderstanding here. They understood everything. That's what added to it.
And this drove them to this.
It was also thought about that this is the reason why Cap wasn't worthy before to pick up the hammer.
Because he had this secret. I do like that.
Because he had the secret, and then tell Tony, and like he wasn't being honest and honorable in that sense. And he says it later, where he's like, he just realizes, I was saving myself.
Yeah.
So that's something that's like a common theory.
Oh my gosh! It was such an amazing thing that happened when Tony Stark rockets the silo and it falls down. And then his helmet comes down and he starts flying up, and the Iron Man theme starts playing, but not like it's kind of heroic, but it's like also very ominous because he's sort of the villain in this scene. But also there's some people that like are Team Iron Man, and like has a lot of like thought from where he's coming from and meaning behind it. So it's like not fully a villain theme, but it's the Iron Man musical cue in like a
darker tone.
It's just so well done. I love that moment.
And that's the thing too, because there's points on both sides where they're both justified, and that's what makes it so tough, right?
Yeah.
Because like he killed Tony's parents, and Tony's just like pissed.
Well,
and
I think the Russo brothers, that's what they were going for, and they accomplished it. They said they were watching a screening, or they had a screening with like friends and family before the movie came out. And it was like 30 people, and at the end of the movie, they asked who thinks Cap was right. 15 people raised their hand. Who thought Iron Man was right? 15 people raised their hand. So they were like, "We've done our job." So like, that's so awesome. So what do you think of the shot when like Cap and Bucky are like tossing the shield back and forth, bouncing it off Iron Man, like that longer shot?
Oh, that was a nice shot. I felt kind of bad for Iron Man at that point because he's kind of just getting his shit beat in.
Do you know that shot was actually they decided like 4 hours before to do that shot. There was no plan to do that shot.
Really?
Yeah, they decided they were like, we need another like moment that shows Bucky and Cap teaming up.
And Cap working together.
So they like learned all that choreography really quick. There was no actual shield. They were just like catching, and it was so tough to get the timing down because they were like, oh, you kind of caught a little too early or you tossed too late kind of thing. Like, so they had to like nail it. But like, I don't know. 4 hours is pretty amazing.
That's a really short time. So that is awesome, especially with how amazing that shot came out. Because it was like it's a long shot. Two, it's just a lot of that went into that. Not just going back and forth, but just working with the timing, like you said.
Right. And it's an amazing shot. They showed it in a lot of the promo stuff, and I just think about that shot a lot. I think about that shot at night.
I think about this shot where like Bucky's like going in at Tony's reactor.
Oh.
And then he blows off his arm. Like
the plum arm. Remember the plum. That's my next note. Like, Bucky's arm blown off. Remember the plum. All caps.
Remember the plum.
It continues. Apparently there's a Marvel. All caps.
All caps. Just all the different Captain Americas from different universes.
No. All caps. Like.
Yes.
But apparently this continues a Marvel trope. Like most, if not all, of the MCU films in Phase 2 had someone losing an arm. I almost said Phantom Menace. Empire Strikes Back style.
I thought you were going to say very fantastically. I was like, what? I think that was like very fantastic thing.
But like they had the villain in Ant-Man, like his arm like pops off when he's like shrinking at the end and like dying. Bucky also loses his arm again in Winter Soldier. Ultron, I'm sure Ultron loses an arm at some point. We get to Black Panther at the end. His like, what's it called?
Oh yeah, the end of his arc where he finds out that Zemo was the one that did the bombing.
He stops Zemo from killing himself. Yeah. Also, apparently the voicemail we hear there, the voice of Zemo's wife was played by Anthony Russo's actual wife.
Oh, actual wife?
Yeah. So, and remember Joe Russo, his brother, plays the doctor. So Daniel Bruhl, he came up to Anthony Russo and said, "So, I've killed your brother and married your wife." He seems like a funny guy. Then at the end, Cap wins, and Cap saves the captive prisoners, Avengers.
He stops Tony. I'm not sure if you call that a victory, considering how things went.
That's true. He stops Tony.
I also like how here Tony, like, it kind of like his actions kind of show his mindset too, because like, I mean, Cap is like beating in on him.
Yeah.
Right, and he totally could have killed him there.
Yeah.
But Tony's like all blocked up and trying to be defensive, because I feel like Tony would have maybe killed Cap there if he kept on getting in his way.
If the roles were reversed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That also goes, I mean, that's something else that we've seen later too with Falcon Winter Soldier, to where we've seen Walker and how he lost it and how he didn't stop.
Yeah.
Again, that just shows how much
interesting parallels. Yeah, I wonder if you would compare those shots of like Walker beating the guy with the shield versus Cap, how different those or similar those would be. The outcomes are very different. But yeah, speaking of the Falcon Winter Soldier, in a lot of the interviews I was watching about this film, a lot of people asking, we're like, when are we going to get like a buddy road trip movie with like Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And everyone was like, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think Kevin Feige just go like, that sounds like a good idea. And it just left it at that.
I guess, I don't know. But yeah, so we get the post credits and Stan Lee's cameo. Mm-hmm. That's the movie. Sorry about that. My camera just died. Where were we? What were we talking about?
I mean, we were pretty much at the end. I mean, you literally just said that we were at the end credits and all that.
All right. Well, that was a little weird hiccup. Daniel, in the meantime, when I was fixing my stuff, found something.
I went to my kitchen because I was going to get some food real quick, but I didn't have enough time. But I found a plum.
Plum. Your plum arm. My plum arm.
It's a plum, so it got a plum here.
There was one thing I wanted to mention really quick.
Yeah.
I look up the IMDb trivia for all of these to see if there's any interesting facts. There was one that was so not interesting and helpful that I just had to put it on here. Someone wrote this thinking it would be good to put on IMDb trivia, which maybe for some people that haven't seen Marvel stuff it is, but IMDb trivia, quote, "This film sets up Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame," end quote.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Most of the trivia is like behind the scenes. Like they did this. Like that's how I learned about like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff is from this, but like no, that is on the same level as that, I guess. I thought it was funny. Yeah, we almost made it to the end. That was pretty much everything I had to say about the movie. Anything else you wanted to talk about? We've been talking about it
I think we
while.
covered a lot of it throughout. Yeah.
Ready for the patron shout-outs?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Cue the Epic Star Wars music. Boost, we got patron Lori, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tier. Thank you to the shout-outs to the supporters. If you want to support us over on Patreon, you get the link is down in the description. You get audio episode early, special benefits, cool perks, all that jazz and more. Thank you so much to our Patreon supporters and everyone that supports us just through watching and listening. It means the world. Thank you. Ready for review comment shout-out?
Yep. You got one?
So this is going to be a little crazy out of order because again, we're recording these out of order. But on our Eternals episode, the amazing Carson commented, we asked like his review on the movie, and he said the movie was all right. I kind of felt like movie didn't have a lot of action in it. Also, it didn't seem like it was really according to Marvel, but my rating is a 7.5. And I kind of agree with a lot of that.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah. Also, I don't know if we shouted out Ant Force before, but he said you guys are actually so underrated. I think we might have, but anyways, thank you again, Ant Force. Yeah. If you want to leave a review or comment, feel free to below, please. Leave a review on when the last time you saw Civil War was, and did you enjoy it? Do you enjoy it?
Who did you have a civil war with? Let us know.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of like a theme like with the movie here. Actually, no. Let us know. Are you Team Cap or Team Iron Man? I don't know.
Yeah. And has that changed since the movie came out? Anyways.
Yeah.
Ready for the introduction?
Yes. Tell me when.
When?
We just talked about whatever we want to talk about, and now we're done.
Thank you so much for listening. Seriously, really, genuinely appreciate it. Stay tuned. We're trying to record a bunch of episodes for December. So for like winter holiday, Christmas theme, all that stuff. Woo! So stay tuned. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, holiday theme. Hold on. Let me get back. See ya.